On a given day, I know where I'm going to be interpreting. And I also know what kind of cases I'm going to have in court. Now, it can happen, like the other day, that I arrived to court for an in-person hearing, and the person for whom I was interpreting was participating by video. Unexpected. So not only was my first case of the morning, so my voice was not quite warm up yet, and to get going in my interpretation, but also what this unexpected circumstance going on. On days like that, I am so very thankful for my notes, for my system, the system that I can trust to keep myself accurate and confident in my interpretation. And at the moment I start taking my notes, my brain kind of clicks in gear. And little by little, I'm getting the information and starting to figure out what is this all about. Because one more thing I had to say, and that happens most of the time to us court interpreters, you arrive to the scene and, well, there is no background of any kind, but just the name and the case number for the case you're going to be interpreting for. So we had to really get up speed very quickly. So today I'm going to share notes that I took that morning, and also the ones that I took during the day, just to show you what I do consistently and systematically in my notes, and that fact that the process and the system that I use is consistent and systematic is what guarantees accuracy, is what guarantees me feeling very comfortable, at ease, and confident in my consecutive interpretation. Are you ready to dive in? Let's do this. So, notes number 1. All right, so these are my notes. As I said, I was in person, and the person for whom I was interpreting was participating by video. As you can see, this is the time when the hearing started and ended. This is standard information I take every day when I am in court. I have some names here that I've crossed out for privacy. And then if you look at my notes, you will see that I have taken notes across in this line, but then I move to what we call verticality. I also use indentation here as well. I use circles and arrows to connect information, and I also use this line. This line tells me that that whole idea, that one chunk of information has concluded. And what is coming next is different information about something different and about the next topic or a continuation of the first topic. This is very helpful for me because when I'm interpreting, I know when to end. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, that you're interpreting and you keep going on and only going on, and you're looking at your notes and you're unable to tell when you are going to stop interpreting. And when we are under pressure, that can be really, really stressful. As you can see, these are standard things that I do every time I'm working with information. I like to group information like I did here and like I did here. I use, as I said, verticality, arrows, circles. And you might say, well, everybody does. Everybody does. And should use these techniques. The question is how and when. And that's something that we explore a lot in my note-taking classes. Because it's not just about knowing, but about really experiencing what it feels like to apply a technique or to apply arrows or circles of indentation when it comes to the way you are processing the information, in the style that you do process your information, and also when it comes to what the language combination, what's the language combination that you have. So it's very important to note this sense very specifically. And in my note-taking classes, I can totally zoom in into those two aspects of your note-taking to support you in developing your own system. And now let's go to notes 2. This is my second set of notes, and you can see the word plea on the top. So you know what it was about, right? So what is important when we have a plea, as we all know, it's what the charges are that the person is pleading to, and also what are the conditions of the plea, right? This is standard information, and the more you are familiar with the setting in any given case, the least information you're going to take. I am very familiar with the format and also the wording and the sequence of a plea that is done in court. So my notes consequently were just information that I didn't know, which were the charges, the conditions of the plea, and I also had the name and case number, the name of the attorney representing the defendant that has been also blackened for privacy purposes. So here is the thing. The more you know about the context, the format of the situation in which you are interpreting, the least notes you are going to take. Now, here's the argument, like some interpreters say, well, I don't need to take any notes because I can remember everything. And if you have a very healthy short-term memory, you can remember up to 7 pieces of information. So if we count my pieces of information here, will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that will be 7 pieces of information that you could hold in your short-term memory. Now here's the thing. Holding this in your short-term memory will cause strain because a plea takes a while. It can take any time from 25 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on how many people are involved. And the second thing I want to mention is that even though I said that our short-term memory can hold up to 7 pieces of information, actually, in real life, the average person holds 3 to 5 pieces of information, 3 being the true average. So if we count 1, 2, 3, well, you see that even if you really have want to really hold on to the memory, it will be very hard to do so. Now, when you free your short-term memory and you do that by putting those pieces of information in your notes, right? That's the strategy to unload the short-term memory, because the short-term memory then have a space to hold other type of information that is coming during this plea. And that kind of information, maybe information that is repeated maybe once or maybe twice, that you will hold in your short-term memory, but it's a little more sophisticated pieces of information, like the nuances of what is being said and how it is being said, the sequence in which things are being presented, right? So I'd rather save my short-term memory for that more sophisticated piece of information that is going to make my interpretation super accurate, natural, and real, and put on my notes these little pieces of information that, yes, super important, but I don't need to strain my brain or my memory trying to hold all that in my mind. So that is the purpose of taking notes. One of the main purposes, to relieve, to give you some relief to your short-term memory. So your short-term memory can be used for other type of information that is being delivered, that is being processed, and if it's some information that is being repeated many times, like this information here in my notes, you rather put in your notes. Whenever that piece of information, whatever piece of information is, comes up, I just need to glance at my notes and adjust to my target language. To me, that in Spanish is very important because, like I wrote, driving improvement program. So when I go into Spanish, I had to start my phrase with program right? So I had to go backwards. And having it there on my notes, it makes it so easy. And why wouldn't you want to make things so easy for yourself, right? All right, now let's go to notes 3. All right, so these notes were from mediation. And if you've ever been to a mediation, you know how important it is to know who wants what. That's why I use my notes for. And as the questions and answers go back and forth, my notes keep me clear on what the parties want, and they also help me with very specific information that will be repeated a couple of times. No need to fret. It's all in my notes, and I just need to glance back to them to insert information in the moment when it's needed. I also want you to notice the way I group the information. Like all this information here belongs to the case and who is involved, plus the parts that were crossed. Then I group the issues that are going to be revisited. And then I have all this future information, what is going to happen after this mediation. So grouping your information a little bit like a mind map kind of strategy. And just like a mind map strategy, there are many strategies that I show my students, and some of them my students know already from studying and taking notes in college, and how they can, I just bring all that back and put into the context of taking notes as interpreters, because it is different than taking notes as when we're in college. So the way we take notes as interpreters is very unique. It has a very specific purpose, and it's all about bringing your interpretation into your target language clearly, accurately, with confidence, after you have done certain processes and applied certain techniques, so that your notes support your memory, and your actual interpretation is going to be the result of putting together both your recall, what you understood and remember, and your notes. It is a beautiful dance. It's a lovely thing to do, and something that is going to guarantee you mental agility, confidence, and accuracy for your whole life as an interpreter. I promise. Hi there. So we're back after looking at the notes and sharing with you what I was doing when I was taking those notes, and to remind you that my program Elevate Your Note Taking is open for registration. And if you check the link, you can look at everything that you get. It's going to be an amazing 6 weeks developing skills, experiencing how things work for you in real time with my support and feedback. See you there. See you inside Elevate.